This guide to the mouse is brought to you by my YouTube members who chose it to be featured this month. The Panzer VIII, also known as the Mouse, is a 7.7 heavy tank that is widely known and beloved. But this following also results in many false beliefs about how this tank should be used. In this video, I hope to dispel some of the common mistakes I see players make when playing this behemoth, as well as providing you some tips I use to increase my survivability and my kill count, as well as breaking down how to defeat a mouse. To start off with, let's have a look at the stats on paper. The mouse is powered by a 1200 horsepower engine located in the middle of the tank. This goes through an electric drive transmission, giving the tank the ability to travel at just over 20 kilometers per hour in both forward and reverse. With a weight of 188 tons, that gives it a power to weight ratio of approximately 6.38 horsepower per ton. And obviously, this weight is due to its incredible armor. 200 millimeters on the upper and lower plate, 180 on the sides, and 150 on the rear. The turret is even more protected, with 232 on the curved front, 205 on the sides, and 200 on the rear. Add in the sloping of the armor and the 240mm cast mantlet, and this tank is second to none in protection. This incredible bulk actually makes the 128mm gun and 75mm coax seem tiny by comparison, making it unsurprising that the original planned armament was a 150mm cannon. When equipped with the top shell, the 128 gives the tank the ability to penetrate 257mm of armor at 500 meters. The coax is also handy with a top heat round giving 100mm of pen, although since it's a standard heat round, it has quite low velocity, making it a lot harder to use at longer ranges. Also included in the armament is a 7.92 MG34 coax machine gun and a smoke grenade launcher. Unfortunately, as of the time this video is being made, the grenades can only be fired behind the tank, making it useless in many situations. The Mouse tank's crew consists of 6 tankers, 1 driver and radio operator in the front of the hull, and 2 loaders, a commander, and a gunner, all in the turret. Now that we've gotten through the raw data, let's talk about what that actually means in terms of gameplay. Due to the very slow speed, which would make even an FCM-36 look like a race car, I don't recommend using this tank on many large maps, since by the time you arrive to battle, it's likely to be over. Although, as I'm sure some of you are beginning to type right now, the armor and gun do allow you to effectively snipe on large maps, the alternative tanks at 7.7 like the Leopard can do the same, and in most cases do it better. So what is the best way to use this tank? The Mouse is essentially a moving bunker, and if used correctly, can be used to essentially lock down positions of the map completely from enemy tanks. The Mouse truly excels on urban maps where you can use the buildings to shield your few weak spots and make your enemy's life living hell, all whilst racking up kills. However, this requires an understanding of how to position your tank, so let me give you a brief angling 101. I'm sure many of you watching already understand the fundamentals of armor angling, but bear with me since I've seen more than enough players sit unangled to know that clearly it's not as common knowledge as we would hope. This is also where the first misconception about the Mouse comes into play. You are not invincible, but you can be if you play correctly. I know that sounds impossible, but stay with me. Regardless of how you sit in the Mouse, you will have an incredible amount of protection. That's obvious. However, there are ways to increase that protection, and it's all about angles. Let me illustrate for you. Let's say you're facing an enemy tank on a road. If you sit unangled, this gives them 2 or 3 weak spots they can go through with much less difficulty. These spots are the turret cheeks and the lower plate. The easy solution to this is to angle your turret and hull. By doing this, you remove any weak point by increasing the ballistic protection that those former weak spots provide. This is also true for the upper plate, which does become a weak spot to a lot of post-war rounds. This leads to my next tip. If possible, side scrape. What is side scraping, some of you may ask? It's a method of angling you can perform using a large obstacle or building, as well as the side of your tank to increase your armor to near unbeatable levels. I may make a dedicated video on this topic in the future, because I really wish more people would use it, because I feel like in this community there are not many people that do. But for now, I'm going to link to a video done by Wargaming that's all about blocking damage, and I'll try to timestamp it for the specific part about side scraping. But I recommend that entire video because it's true not just for World of Tanks, but also for War Thunder. But regardless, the mouse excels at side scraping due to its rear-mounted turret and excellent reverse speed, which allow you to move back into cover, back out, turn, and fire using that side scraping method the entire time. In summary, you have a lot of armor when playing the mouse, but by using it intelligently and always keeping it angled against as many targets as you can turn strong armor into nearly unbeatable armor. Hopefully I haven't lost you with all that theory talk. To conclude, I'm going to try to talk you through a typical game in the mouse to put everything we discussed into practice. You ready? Let's try. From the start of a match, I recommend choosing the mouse only when the map suits it or if you have favorable matchmaking, since an up-tiered mouse or a mouse used on open terrain tends to not last long. A mouse is going to cost 220 spawn points when you're in a 7-7 game. That's when it's the best to use. Next, before you even spawn in or as you're spawning in, you need to pick a position on the map. You don't have time to be driving into battle and then decide, oh, I need to be here instead of here. You need to know where you need to go and you need to start going there. For that, I'm starting to do a series of map guides, so you can check those out, and hopefully that can help you kind of figure out where it is you need to get to, so you know where to go with the tank before the battle even begins. Your slow speed won't allow you to make too many aggressive plays, so it's best to act as a support tank. Try to pick a position with some form of cover to allow yourself to side scrape or otherwise use the angling methods we discussed. And once you arrive, don't get impatient. If you need to make an assault, remember to always approach while angling as much as you can. And always, always, always angle the turret. The only time you should ever face the enemy with your gun is when you intend to shoot them. Keeping the gun trained on an enemy will only reward you with a quick trip back to the hangar, or at least a very long repair. The mouse performs best when used with support. So if possible, try to play with some squad mates who can keep the enemies from getting to your weaker sides, since once you get flanked, any skilled player is going to make a mockery of you. It can also be beneficial to try to stay near AA if possible, since the mouse is usually a draw for players who bring out CAS. But Cone, I hear you saying, I don't have the mouse, how will any of this benefit me? Don't worry. Now we get into the part where I break down how to defeat a mouse. Depending on the tank you're in, this can be an easy task, or it can be equivalent to trying to hunt a mammoth with a spear. If you have Sabo or a round capable of going through more than 240mm of pen, the easiest course of action is to just wait until the mouse de-angles its turret and then fire through the right cheek, which will likely kill both the gunner and the loader on that side, and then you shoot the other cheek, kill the 2 crew members there, simply wait for the mouse to get its gunner back, bang, it's dead. However, there are many ways to trap a mouse. Sniping the turret face is quite dangerous because it does mean that you have to wait until the mouse is aiming in your direction, which a lot of times means it's going to try to shoot you. A much safer route is to try to flank the mouse. It is incredibly slow and cannot react to situations. So by getting on its side, you can have a much safer time of trying to knock it out. Obviously, this can be done in a variety of ways, but always remember to try to get its flat side, not the rear. The armor is on paper weaker in the rear, but due to the angling of the rear, the sides being flat are actually easier to pen in a lot of situations. Not to mention, the transmission sits right in front of that back plate, meaning that a lot of your rounds could just get eaten up by that. But even if you're shooting at the sides, you need to be careful of where you shoot. The mouse has a belt of armor on the side that is 180 millimeters thick. If you shoot too low, you're going to go through the side skirt plate that's mounted and into the tracks, which will even eat ATGMs or Heat FS because there's so much spacing and armor there. Try to place your shot into either the middle of the tank to first knock out its engine and then towards the rear, or try to just place one into the rear of the hull below the turret. Never shoot the side of the turret unless you know for certain you have the pen to go through, but even then, it's better to shoot into the side of the hull. Due to the angle of the turret and the fact that you're likely to be shooting up at it due to the size of the mouse, seeing as how it's 12 feet tall, the side of the turret is very commonly an idiot trap, causing situations like this one.
I can't believe I'm flying right now.
Well guys, hopefully this video helped you learn how to better play or face the mouse. If it did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this one every month. And if you'd like to help decide which tank I choose to feature, you can join my YouTube members by clicking the join button or using the link in the description. This helps support all my content and offers you some perks for doing so, and you'll get to vote every month on which vehicle I do a video like this on. I want to give a special thank to all of my YouTube members: Donimir Trutin, Kleary L, Voca, Magniflorious, and Antonio Sánchez. Thank you guys very much for supporting the channel. And to all the rest of you, please let me know if there's anything that I missed in this video or anything I can do in future ones to improve it in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.